The Apex has opened up, which is awesome. I mean, you're talking about $100 million arena. I mean, they put everything into this darn thing. Anything you could possibly dream of having, I'm talking from a technology standpoint, to be able to run live events, the Apex has. So, and not to mention, small venue. Nobody puts $100 million into a small venue. They put it into a great big one. So when somebody does, you've got something special. And I have yet to see the Apex. I even went out to campus to tour the Apex, got held up in a meeting, never got. I just personally want to see it. But take the Apex, okay, which is right in everybody's backyard. If you work at the UFC, it's right there on campus. And then think about Fight Island. So now that the Apex is back open and now that some of the restrictions are changing, do we still get Fight Island? Now, everything we've heard has been yes. I hope that's true. There's a few things I got to see on my time left on this planet. Fight Island happens to be on that list. Believe it, Fight Island is one of those things. I must see this. I must know everything. I must know where it is, how you did it, how you reinvented, rejuvenated, redesigned a structure while being on an island. You don't have a Best Buy up the road on an island, guys. You don't have your local electronics store up the road on an island. You can't just push a couple buttons on Amazon and something gets dropped off when you're on an island. The work and the logistics to get this done, at least for me, are nothing short of fascinating. And I can't wait to see it when it's done. But you're operating within the pieces that you have at the time that you have them. When you have an aggressive business guy running this thing, he's trying to get ahead and stay ahead of the curve at all times. So there is a chance where you've got Fight Island, whatever financially got dumped into that, and then you just simply don't have to go there. That is a very realistic thing. That will be a realistic risk. That'll be a noticeable loss to the venture. But it would be very tough for me, even if you do get Fight Island ready. If the restrictions change and you could do it at the Apex, why are you going to fight? I mean, you see what I'm saying? I just think there's a lot of moving parts here that do start to make things very interesting, because here's another question. I am firmly of the belief that television, as we knew it, is never going to go back. And I don't share for you that I believe it's going to stay at where we know it today. I think there's an in-between, but I don't think that it ever returns. And I always offer you guys the same example, which is I just happened to watch Jimmy Fallon, Tonight Show, and he's doing it from his living room. And you know what? It's just as good. It's ever been as good. He's ever been as funny. He's ever been as prepared. And while he might be doing that via satellite or via Zoom or these different kinds of feeds where there is better ways to do it, it would take some more personnel and some more people, and sure, a dedicated stage with sound and lighting is going to be helpful. I don't know that the world is ever going to go back. I don't know that it is. I don't know that it's not, but I do think that that carries over to live sport. And I know as football is upon us, and football really does thrive on those big live stadiums, and it's far more important for the NCAA and high school than it is for the NFL. It really is. High schools will fund all of their programs just by the live attendance that they can bring. And that could be 2,000 or 3,000 people, but at $10 a piece and you get 8 games a year. I mean, these are kinds of funds that schools need. The same thing would go for the NCAA. You look at the University of Michigan, where they have 101,000 seats, and by the way, they're all sold out. Well, everybody needs that. I heard the Louisiana State University football coach on the news today, and he was talking about that. He goes, look, I'm not just a football guy, I'm also a safety guy. I want to do that, but if you are trying to talk about the hard talk, which is money, nobody likes to talk money. But if you are having that talk with me, yes, economically, our entire school, our entire town, from the bars to the restaurants to the hotels, they thrive on football season. That is a true reality, and I'd hate to see that happen within our community. So what I'm offering for you is, while there is a push to get things back on track, I've thoroughly enjoyed the fights, the way that they are now coming from a production standpoint. I love it. I am able to hear things. I am able to hear cornermen. The athletes are able to hear the announcers and then say great, compelling things after the fight, such as, I started listening to Daniel Cormier. Trust that guy. He's got a great mind for the sport. It's like I had another cornerman in here. I mean, that's interesting for me. It's very interesting to hear the huffing and the puffing of the breathing for me. I will also concede for you there's a balance. If I had to choose between the way it is right now or go back to an arena full of people, yeah, of course I take the arena full of people. I get that. But if I can get you to come along this ride part way, that it could be a meaningful period of time, if not the rest of our lifetimes, before things fully go back, you have to find that balance. What is that balance? Well, I think a small venue solves a lot of problems. Yeah, you'd rather have 14,000 people there, but what if you had 3,500? And it was a small venue, so it's still packed, and you still got that same energy, and the athletes are still feeding off that, and they're hearing the cheers and the boos, and you have a designated location. This is not unheard of things before. These things have been tested before, and where you are doing international business, and you understand the value in bringing a live attraction to different geographical locations that you're trying to encourage. I get all of those things, but if business has to be done differently, this has happened before. Vince McMahon has been doing international business for 20 years. Been doing publicly traded business for 8 years. He leaves the country twice a year. He's very good at floating around North America, but he floats around North America. And his message still gets out there, and the brand and the packaging and the distribution is just as big, and the merchandising is just as big in other places, as opposed to if you actually pick up shop and go and set it down in a location to light a local market on fire, and then you leave town and don't come back for a year or two. His business has ever been as good. I'm just sharing with you, there's different ways to do it. And I think that if we do find a designated home such as the Apex, and you bring talent into it, now you're talking about resources, human resources, that are now going to be a little bit more effective, right? Everybody can work a little bit more time when they're working from home, and they can also do it with a little bit better attitude. There's just something about not having that drive time. Something about if you need a breather, you can walk to your kitchen, recharge your batteries, go sit down and go get some work done. There's something about that. So now if you're telling me that a team that has 356 people in the Las Vegas branch alone can plan a show that's right there, right on campus, right next to where they parked, your human resource level is going to go up exponentially, taking those travel days away. What product do you have then? What product do you have when you have 356 people now putting in an extra 3 hours a day? They don't have no airports, no travel, no checking in. What do you have then? I don't have the answer for you, but I could very easily hedge a bet for you. You have something better. You have something even better. I think that's exciting. I think the squeeze is worth the juice. Even if history of the business says you float around, you travel to different markets, you bring in local talent, you get the radio stations, you get the papers, you get everybody to light this thing on fire. Even if that's what the message says, historically speaking, it would seem to me that from a productivity standpoint, things are going to only get better